Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for joining us today. Get ready to be inspired and motivated to live a high-impact life. Now, here's Rick.
Welcome to the Point of Impact podcast. I'm Rick McDaniel. Great to have you joining us again today. We're continuing to talk about relationships. I've done several episodes on different aspects of relationships, and today we're going to talk specifically about friendship. And still to come will be marriage and parenting. So there's still a few more that we're going to cover in this focus on relationship. But today, friendship. And boy, I can't wait to talk to you about that and open with just kind of a shocking story that I think we all need to just kind of dwell on and consider in our lives today. But before we jump in, as always, I just want to talk with you about a few things that are coming up and happening. One big thing is that I've been asked to be one of 20 different leaders in America, faith leaders, to pray on the National Day of Prayer, which is Thursday, May 5th. And for those of you that are listening to this podcast on pray.com, the broadcast will be on pray.com at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Pacific on Thursday, May the 5th. But for those of you that listen or watch TV and you want to see it, it will be on the Daystar Network. The Daystar Television Network will carry this National Day Prayer broadcast, 8 o'clock, again, Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Faith Radio will be carrying it on the radio side of things. So you've got the internet with pray.com, got television with Daystar, you've got radio with Faith Radio. So lots of different ways to be able to take part in this really powerful event where we unify over prayer and praying for our country. It should be really a fantastic event. This is the first time, this is the 71st National Day of Prayer observance, which is, pretty amazing. This is, I believe, like the 40th time there's been a public observance of it. And this is the first time there's been a broadcast. So I'm excited and honored to be part of that group of 20 leaders that will be praying and participating in this broadcast, so you can listen or watch it, internet, radio, or TV. And I hope that you'll do that. That's Thursday, May the 5th, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific time. All right, so that's an exciting event that's coming up. I think it has great potential in so many ways. I just want to continue to remind you my new book. This is Living Daily Inspiration to Live Your Faith. I've been getting more and more comments from people, feedback from people, really positive things. I just heard from somebody who just finished doing 100. It's just been 100 days or so. The book's been out, and they finished the 100 days, finished the book doing one each day. And I've heard from other people asking for bulk copies. How can they get multiple copies? Which, by the way, if you'd like to do that, you can contact High Impact Living. Just go to rickmcdaniel.com and send us a message. We'll get it to the right folks, and we can send you out, or High Impact Living Ministry that I lead can send you out bulk copies. And by the way, there's always a discount when you buy in bulk, right? So that applies to the book as well. So it's been great to hear from different folks and how much it means to them. And I just got another message this morning before I started recording here about how much the book has just created conversations amongst friends who are reading it together. So love for you to get it. You can get it on Amazon. This is Living Daily Inspiration to Live Your Faith, 100 readings, devotions, meditations. You can read one each and every day. And I'm excited about how many people it's helping. Obviously, when you write a book, your whole dream is that it will, in fact, be a book that people like, that they enjoy, that they want to read. So really excited that folks are enjoying it and want to read it, and would love for you to read it too. If you have read it, love for 5-star rating, a review would be fantastic. Appreciate that very much. If you're willing to do that, take a few moments. That really helps other people. People are always interested in, just like the things I'm talking about, these responses that I'm getting from people, just to read about it, understand how it can help them. So if you're up for it, really would appreciate you taking a moment to do that. All right, let's jump in today talking about the value of friendships and why they're so important and why we need to invest in them. And I came across this article, actually my hometown newspaper, the Hartford Courant, was republished. I didn't read it in the Courant because I live in Virginia now, but that's where I grew up, in Hartford, Connecticut. So it caught my attention, but that's not the only thing that caught my attention, that there's an organization called wingwomen.com. And a wing woman is the female version of a wingman, a sidekick who, helps his best buddy to meet women. And this is actually something that exists. Wing Women takes the place of guy friends who've gotten married or are now in serious relationships. They provide a woman instead of the old wing man who used to be your college buddy, your old drinking buddy, when you need someone else to be by your side. Sounds like Rent a Friend, and that's pretty much what it is. By hiring someone to perform the roles or services that traditionally have been the responsibility of friends. It's a growing trend. Need someone to take you to the airport, drive you home from a night out? There's services for that. Sure. They're called Uber and Lyft. Aren't these the things that friends used to do for free? Isn't this the domain of what it means to be a buddy or a girlfriend? Not anymore. When people were in need, they called on one of their friends. Now it's more of a luxury, and that's just what the article said. It's kind of heartbreaking to me. You just couldn't survive in this country without good friends and neighbors, but today there are services. So friends are not needed, but really it's not that they're not needed. It's that we don't have the kind of relationships that we can call on people. So think of the things you've asked your friends to do, like help you move, come get you when your car breaks down, watch your kids for you, check in on your elderly parents, feed your pets and water your plants while you're away, maybe bring you a meal or groceries when you're sick. These are all now services that you can pay for. But I've never paid for any of these things, and I don't want to. That's the whole benefit of having friends, is that you're there for each other, and you don't need to hire someone to do it. How did we get here? So here's what one person said in the article. It's not that we become more busy, it's we become more self-absorbed. Earlier times, people would drop everything to help someone. They wouldn't say, I can do that next week. They'd put their own needs aside and make themselves available to their friends. It's selfishness that sadly has become more part of our daily lives. I don't think we expect as much out of our friends today. Wow. That's tough to hear. And I'm going to do my best here today to encourage you to not allow that to be true in your life. I love this quote by Ethel Watts Mumford. God gives us relatives. We can choose our friends. Can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. And by the way, a study was done about friendship, and it said that the following benefits of having close friends. It helps you to not get depressed. It boosts your immune system. It lowers your cholesterol. And it helps you to survive breakups. And that's some powerful stuff, both in the physical and the emotional or mental aspect of life. Having friends. No surprise here, I don't think. I hope it's not a surprise. This is what friends are for. This is why we should have good friendships, good relationships. Really, really important. Too many people, in another survey, said they don't feel like they're giving their friendships the time and effort they deserve. Well, let's do something about that then. Instead of just saying, oh, this is the way it is, used to be like this, and friends helped out, now we hire people to do it. How about we become those friends? We have somewhere, this is shocking, but just listen to this and really ponder it at some point. We have somewhere between 500 and 2,000 acquaintances, people that we know in some way. We have somewhere between 20 and 100 core friends, and somewhere between 1 and 7 best friends. That's kind of how it breaks down. So we're not talking about the acquaintances. We're really talking about the core friends and certainly the best friends, people that you have that kind of relationship with. And I just want to say something to guys too, because time and time again, this comes up that men, as they get older, have less and less friends. So we start out with a lot of friends and playing ball together and doing things together and school and college, and it's a lot of friendships. And then as time goes on, women continue those friendships much more than men, and that's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. We need friends. Men and women need their same sex friends. Men need male friends, and women need female friends. They need someone of the same gender as them who they can talk to and be friends with. And there's nothing like long-term friendships. I have those in my life, and they're so valuable to have people that know you and have known you for a long time. And of course, hey, it's always great to have new friends too. So that's the thing, is you should always be like making new friends. Like what's the newest friend that you've made? And again, I'm not talking about acquaintances now. I'm talking that's in your core friend or even best friend category. I've developed a new friendship over about the last year and a half that is kind of the newest one that I have developed, and it's been really great. And I was able to help this person out recently with something. They definitely have helped me out with some things. And so it's just great to have new friends as well as friends that you've known for years and years and years and years. Changing of jobs impacts friendships, because a lot of times our friendships are work friendships, and then we leave the job. And so do we have to lose the friendship? No. Guy that worked with me for 15 years when I was leading my church was what we call executive pastor, so like a right-hand guy. And ever since I stopped pastoring to do this full-time, speaking and writing, we've continued to meet together, have lunch together, and continue our friendship, because the friendship shouldn't end. Now, sure, we don't see each other every day like we used to, but we can still carry on a friendship for sure. So it's so important to invest in our friendships, to make them important to us and valuable to us. So let me give you some ways I think that you can be a good friend to someone else. First of all, just be available. It's so easy to take our friends for granted, and then our friendships really suffer from busyness or neglect. You have to develop a friendship, and you have to be available for that person. That's the essence of friendship. You just can't talk to someone once a month and hang out with them, once a month, and that's going to do it. Now again, at certain levels of friendship, that may be fine, but you got to have some core people in your life that you can spend time with. You got to plan the time, you just have to plan it. Let's get together, put it on the calendar. That's how these things happen. Sometimes when I, we'll talk with someone about getting together socially, I'll be like, hey, listen, it's going to take a little while to be able to do this, but let's get it on the calendar, because if we don't, then it just doesn't happen. That's how it works. Like, get stuff down, get it planned. Maybe go on a trip together, or a Saturday or a weekend, or I don't know, whatever. There's all kinds of things that you can do, but you've got to plan these things or they don't happen. Now, look, you can have those spur of the moment things. Those are great, but that generally, as life gets more busy and complicated and there's more responsibilities, then you really have to set up specific times to get together or have some type of regular activity that you're going to do. Like, we're going to go golfing, every other Saturday, or we're going to get together and go to the movies this Friday. You got to have something that you can set up, and sometimes regular things are better, just because you just know, hey, every other Friday night, or the first Friday of the month or whatever it is, this is what we're going to do. This is where we're going to go. You got, just have to stay in touch. You got to know what's going on in each other's lives. I mean, things can't just pass by and, you're not aware of what's happening, or you get kind of shocked with the news or the information. So you just have to really invest, make the time, because it's important. It's so valuable to have good friends. I mean, friendship is the essence of life. It's what makes life special, is sharing it with other people. Time and time again, you'll read or hear about people that make these changes in their lives, and you'll hear them say, I want to spend more time with my family. I want to spend more time with my friends. I want to be able to do these things. My life has become too busy or too complicated or too complex, and I'm not able to do the things that I want to do. I'm consumed by my responsibilities, and I'm not really enjoying life or, happy about life. And then, we have this idea, well, someday, and someday is just a code word. We know that for no day. It's like not going to happen. It's just, someday, and someday never becomes a day. And this idea that we'll get there, and then, when you get there, who's left, who's there with you, because you haven't nurtured these relationships and cared for them. So there's just such value in friendships and relationships, and to not take advantage of it is just really a mistake. And it's something like listening to this podcast today. That's like a wake-up call. Like, if it's resonating with you, because man, I really need to do this. I need to really reinvest. You got to be there for people in the good times and the bad. And by the way, both. My years pastoring a church, one thing that always concerned me and bothered me really was, it seemed like when people were going through something bad, people would rally, which is great. But when they were going through something good, experiencing, not the same response. And, we need to share people's sufferings and help them, but rejoice with them when they rejoice. Mourn with them. The Bible puts it this way: mourn with them when they mourn. In other words, when people are sad and they're going through tough times, we need to be there with them, but then rejoice with them when they rejoice. Like, just be able to cheer people on when they get their promotion, when they get the big deal, when they get the big break. We need to be able to be there for people just like that, and understand that in good times and bad times, that's what friendship is all about. So just be available. Be someone that's available, because if you keep saying no, then people stop calling, stop connecting. It just ends, and that's not good. That's not healthy for you. Understand, just the value. There was a horse pull in Canada. Just kind of a wild thing that I read, but just listen to this. So one horse pulled 9,000 pounds, and then another horse was able to pull 8,000 pounds. So if you were able to put those two together, it'd be 17,000 pounds, right? So they put the two horses together that had pulled the most weight, and when they yoked them together, guess how much they pulled? 30,000 pounds. Well, 9,000 and 8,000 is not 30,000. No, in science you call that synergy, right? Simultaneous action of separate agents working together has a greater total effect than the sum of their individual efforts. I mean, this is... So that's science, right? Synergy. Then here's what the Bible would say. 2 are better than 1. 2 are better than 1. Yeah, 2 are better than 1. And there you go. That's what can happen. And it isn't just the 2 are better than 1 that 2 can pull more than 9 or 8,000 or even 17,000. It's that 2 can really, really, really do a job. When people are connected, when you team up, tasks become easier, burdens are lighter. So it's just crucial to have those kinds of friendships. All right, here's the second. Be supportive. Good friends are cooperative, not competitive. Supportive, not controlling. So there's competition in this world. I love to compete. I enjoy it. But you don't compete with your friends. You cooperate with your friends. You compete with other people. Friends are supportive, not controlling. You're there to support, not, run somebody's life, but support people as they try to run their life. We don't expect perfection from people. Last week we talked about loving hard to love people, and perfection is not in this world. So, don't hold the people against it when they, kind of fall short of perfection, because we all do. So we have a little bit of grace toward one another and supportive of each other. And when things don't go as we hope or as we plan, we're there. We're there to support. And support is just enormously important. Friends ask for help when they need it. And they offer assistance when they're asked. So what's the great thing about having friends? You can ask for help. Instead of trying to do it all on your own, 2 are better than 1. Ask for someone's assistance and someone's help. Oh, I don't want to bother people. Well, what's the point of friendship? And then the only other thing there would be, well, I don't want to ask something because we're not good enough friends, or we haven't. Yeah, now we're back to the availability. Like, invest in the friendship so that you don't feel awkward asking for help and assistance. You feel perfectly comfortable with doing it because you're good friends. And so then when you need something, you can ask for it. Share your goals, share your dreams, share your struggles. It's beautiful to have somebody be able to do that with. I just think it's kind of a sad commentary that's, more and more people are going to say counseling or therapy. Now, hear me out now, because I believe in all this stuff. I've supported it for years. But in some cases, they're going really just because they could be talking to a friend about these things. Their need is not for any sort of psychoanalysis or psychotherapy. They don't have psychoses and neuroses necessarily. They just need a listening ear. They need a friend. They need some friendly advice, which is exactly what friendship is all about. Friendly advice from a friend. So we're paying for all these other services we talked about earlier, and now we're paying to have a listening ear when we could just have a buddy or a girlfriend, and that's all you need. So be there for each other. Of course, that requires confidentiality, trust. You got to trust each other. Going to keep things between the two of you, very important. But man, what a benefit is to have somebody like that in your life, because friendships grow through communication. Self-disclosure, active listening. This is how it happens. This is how you grow it and develop. And man, it's such a difference. I was reading about this group of 9 people that wanted to hike Mount Rainier. Just listen to this group. One of the climbers had an artificial leg. Another was epileptic. Okay, 2 of them were deaf, and 5 of them were blind. So you have 9 people. all with some type of disability, epileptic, limb, blindness, deafness. So how are they going to climb over a 14,000 foot mountain and get back down again? And guess what? They did it. And when they asked one of the climbers, they said, how did you do it? They said, well, we just helped each other. We just helped each other. Those with sight helped those that were blind. Those with two good legs helped the person that had an artificial leg. The person that was epileptic was assisted by those who didn't have epilepsy. The two people that were deaf were helped by those who could hear. I mean, this is it. This is what partnership, teamwork, friendship, call it what you want. It's what it looks like. Here's another, be dedicated. Dedication is what keeps friendships alive and well. You just have got to be dedicated. That's how relationships always fall apart, when there's a lack of commitment and dedication. It takes personal sacrifice, selfless devotion, and true commitment to be a good friend. Let's just break it down here. Personal sacrifice, yes, sometimes, to be a good friend means that you have to sacrifice what you want for what your friend needs. Selfless devotion. So yeah, help me move. Who wants to? No one likes to do that. We all know that. No one wants to help in something as miserable as moving, but this is what it looks like, to just be selfless and say, okay, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you move. I'm going to be that person. And in my younger years, I was, because I was this big muscle, strong guy, football guy, people are always like, let's get Rick for the heavy stuff, okay, but hey, I could lift it. So that's what you're there for. True commitment. You don't just bail, when you have disagreements. We're always going to have disagreements, Two people can't agree all the time. But those disagreements don't have to result in breaking up a friendship. So commitment is what keeps it together. And that's what makes a friendship really last, makes a friendship really work. So it's just vital to be able to do that. Be the friend that your friend can count on. Be that person. You're the name they think of. I know I can count on Rick. I know I can count on Sue. I know I can count on George. I know I can count on Kathy. I know I can count on that person. That person will be the person. Be the friend where, that people don't have to think, I better really measure my words, I better really weigh my thoughts. I've lived my life in the public realm, and let me tell you, in public speaking, you got to weigh your words, and it's part of the deal. I understand that, but gosh, if you can't be yourself around your friends, then they're not your friends. You ought to be able to, just be able to have a little more looseness and know that, people understand you. They know where you're coming from. They know if you make a joke, you're not being mean, or you don't have some sort of animus or prejudice. You're just cracking a joke, and people understand that. Dedication is really like thousands of little commitments, you never even really think about. But you make those commitments over and over, time and time again, and then that's how you build it. That's how you weave it together into something really strong and powerful. And then, man, I'll tell you what, then you can have these great experiences with your friends, or really enjoy things, and you can tell all your great stories and laugh. That's just so much fun to just go back some time and just laugh about all the stuff you did together and crazy situations. And then, when you really need someone to step up for you, they're there for you, and you can count on them when you're in a tough spot. Man, that's really valuable. There's such great value in friendships. If you're not investing in them the way that you should, I hope today's been an encouragement to you to say, yeah, I'm going to invest more in my friendships. Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to you joining us for our next episode.